guys, Calvin here. Most of you know me as well. Just thought I would make a quick video talking about Devil Jin because I think he's really interesting and he's the, I mean, he's the first character besides like Sasha and Mimic that use a card type in a different way than everyone else in the game. Um, at least in standard, right? Sasha is sort of missing enough backups to really do the thing she wants to do very well. But Devil Jin just uses attacks differently, and there are certainly plenty of those. So if you haven't read Devil Jin, just real quick, he has response once per turn. After you check an attack, add it to your card pool and you draw one, and your check gets +1 for each attack in your card pool. Um, this works in such a way that it does not count the card you're trying to play. So if you're playing an attack and on a 4 and you check a 3, it becomes a 4. And if your card pool is filled with attacks, it skips all of that progressive effectively, which is quite nice. Um, it also puts the card before the attack you're playing for purposes of like combo and rando spirit gun and such, which can be useful, particularly if you are stacking the attack with something like a War the Victor. Um, but in a case like that, you would have the attack there anyway, so it's not terribly useful. So the other text on this card is that you enhance, add an attack from your discard pile to your card pool as cost, which means if you do not have an attack in your discard, you cannot use this ability. And your attack will get +1 damage for each attack in your card pool. You may also change this attack zone to the zone of the added attack. So this does not give damage to your opponent's attacks. It does zone change them though, so it enables you to perfect block. And then on offense, this would activate zone change effects for something like Phantom Threat or any of the Mirio cards. I'm not really working with that. I think where this guy is most interesting is I want to use his response multiple times per turn, so I would like to use Rando Spirit Gun, and then I want to control when I check threes. I want them to be towards the end of strings if I can help it, or at a point where I would normally not be able to play an attack, and I use Devil Jin to say that no, I do just check this one. So in particular, I want to draw attention to Camo Counter. I think this is probably the best individual card in him because it controls when it goes to the top of your deck. Um, if attacks are hitting, which is a condition that won't always be met, right? But something you can do is use a card like Besiege, something that's sort of harder to block, to guarantee you stack the Camo Counter and then play a difficult attack, something like a Randos, and guaranteed check it um, with the response from Camo Counter plus Devil Jin's response and commit no cards, which is very powerful. The other really good part about this card is it works on defense, where you can add it to your card pool, let your opponent hit you, and then stack the Camo Counter, um, which is something other characters just can't do at all with this card. So it's very good. This, when it stacks, basically says that the next card you play will skip progressive and check at minimum of 4, if not better. Or sorry, at minimum of 5 because it buffs the check by 1. Um, so this on defense, like if your opponent chooses to attack you again, they know what you're checking. They know you're drawing a card when you go to block, and they also know that if they pass, you are drawing a Camo Counter for offense. So very powerful combination of abilities. Trying to see what else I want to point out here. I mean, there's the card pool synergy stuff that works really well in him. I think that's kind of like the obvious stuff, right? Like Titan Armbar is just 2 damage static on everything. So in multiples, this gets out of hand really quickly. Blue Flame Torment allows you to effectively speed up your moves or make them fail checks on defense. I think in a test game, I had something where one of these went to momentum and one was added to my card pool by Devil Jin, and then I could flip it, discard the one from momentum, put the one from my momentum back into my card pool and do it again to them. So that was really powerful. Um, Walk the Dog is a card that's great when there are multiple in your card pool, and this guy is very good at saying the ones in your discard actually are just in your card pool now. So good at drawing more cards. And then he gets loads of damage, so something like Twisting makes sense, right? Um, he is on fire and stacks attacks in his card pool, so this just makes sense in him. Capture the Target is a great card because it doesn't flip itself as cost already, so you can just keep using its effect. And I think these 2 cards are pretty interesting in him. Graceful Maneuvers allows you to just effectively negate the progressive on an attack when you go to block, since if you are using his effect and adding cards to your card pool. And then Struggling with Studies will pick up whatever you want. Whenever they throw a third attack, you can just say, I'd like this Walk the Dog for my discard now, which is very powerful. I think that's the bulk of the interactions on Chaos. To take a quick look at Evil, um, so here we have a lot of the similar card pool effects. We have some speed modification with Point Blank Shot. You could use Featherstorm, but I think this is slightly better. You have Try Gravity Beam, which works extremely well on him. I think my favorite card in Evil Devil Jin is probably Patchwork Baby because you can add loads of keywords to your card pool and he's going to give a bunch of damage, and this is just going to be like a certain amount of speed mid for 20 damage or something. And if you have a way of guaranteeing it checks, or at worst you're checking a 5, you can sort of hedge your bets. Sorry, a 4 because of how his response works, but yeah. So outside of that, in this character or in this symbol, we've got relaxed demeanor, which will allow you to pick your Titan arm bars and put them into your discard so that you're not drawing them because they're not exactly the attacks you want to be playing. They're fairly high difficulty. Battle for Dominance, it allows you to clear your card pool on defense after you've changed the zone to block something and draw a card at the cost of effectively removing one of the resources from your discard, which isn't great, but it's still, I think the synergy is still good enough to warrant including here. Immortal Shapeshifter, this guy doesn't say make a check to play a card. So cards like Immortal Shapeshifter, if you wanted to really push the synergy, Deadly Ruthlessness would work as well. Anything that says make a check can be used to trigger his response and draw in a pinch if you really need to. And then because we're doing zone change stuff, a card like Showdown is quite good where you can say their attack is a high, full block at Showdown them, and so on. Um, I didn't love the attack stacking that Evil has. I did want to mention it though. There are a couple here, namely, so Living Spikes is a fairly hard attack to play, but it does say his response will trigger on the next attack. Um, High End, if you're willing to debuild yourself, will do the same thing. Looming Terror will go from your momentum, but you have to get it there in the first place. And then the last notable one is probably Wire Arrow, where if you have text, this would be a way of saying that you can stack an attack if it hits, right? So that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I do think this character is very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people do with him. I think Chaos probably feels better, but I do love the idea of like the Patchwork Baby Evil, like big nuke thing. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.